And welcome back to the EGF Season 3, brought to you by Intel. It is again me and Ocean bringing you the games today, and we have another good one coming up with UT Arlington and the University of Cincinnati. And Ocean, I was just looking through the team rosters, and I'm going to start off with Cincinnati because one of my favorite DPS players to watch throughout most of this year has been Speedy. Been doing a really great job.
He's not in the roster anymore.
No!
No,
What?
no, I made the
I
same
haven't
mistake a
casted.
couple weeks ago.
No, I love Speedy, but okay. But anyway, the next person I was going to talk about, which was Peach,
Who's also
I
not
said,
in the roster
Peach,
anymore.
what? I tell you what, I've got an outdated roster, which is unlucky because I could have sworn we had
Oh,
her on
no.
a couple weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's fine because we still have Shrimp Man and a few of these other players. But Lightning's still here, and that is their other player that I also like to look at.
Oh, everyone likes a bit of Lightning.
Yeah, a bit of Lightning on support, right? I also play support a little bit myself, and looking at Lightning,
You could
doing
call
a
it
great
playing.
job.
We were playing last week, and I wouldn't call that playing support.
Excuse me, I gave you all of the nanos, all of them, and you popped off. You're welcome.
There's two types of people there. It's like, yeah, your support was kind of bad, and you're like, yeah, well, on Nano Gym we won, so I did the job.
I specifically remember some low health, but anywho'sin, not a big deal. Let's get back
Tactical
into
feeding.
this. Tactical inting is what you would like to call it. But UT Arlington, one of the favorites of the day. They have an 8-3 record, I believe, looking to move up to 9-3. University of Cincinnati sitting a little bit lower down, mid-tier range with a 4-8 record. So they are also looking to get their 5th win of the season. Cincinnati, bit of an uphill climb, kind of like our last series. What are you looking to see from Cincinnati in this one?
What I like about Cincinnati is they like to play a bunch of different heroes, for one. They like to play a bunch of different compositions that, they make sense, right? There's good concepts around their compositions, which is good. Their execution ain't the best in the world, and that's something that I think they're working on for the rest of the season. They did get a win last week against Villanova. Cincinnati's a team that I always say has a lot of potential, like a lot of potential. I don't think their execution's great. I don't think their timing's great, and I don't think they 100% know what their compositions are good at. But they're able to get a base understanding for one, which is good, and definitely progress since the start of the season.
Yeah.
Anyways, one other note is that UTA are the only team that have really been competitive in series against Colorado, who have been the undisputed best team in EGFH so far.
Yeah, and Cincinnati does get a chance to show if they can hang with UT, because that's going to be the the difference here with Cincinnati. We talked about them struggling a little bit, but right now they have the major health advantage fighting around point 1, as UTA is just going to take the initial spot on point, trying to hold it down. Doesn't look like any engagements are going to come through right away, as we see Archimedes going down quite fast on the initial push-in. And there we go, UTA going to be putting the damage down. Laser on full blast. Not going to be letting Salty Nacho stick around for too much longer. And boom, there we go, UTA showing why they are the favorite.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Dez on the UTA roster as well, by the way. A really, really good player. Is especially strong at being kind of a disruptor in team fights, and you're going to see that on the Doomfist a lot from them. Cincinnati, you would expect probably to lose this series, but what I want to see is some good, strong team fights, maybe a couple of objectives, and some progress towards better execution. I think that's a good goal for Cincinnati today.
Yeah, and what's funny for Cincinnati right now, they're doing a really good job of trying to get everybody through, but the Shatter's going to come down and connect with 3, and that's going to lead to the cleanup for the rest of Arlington as they push through and make sure Soap's Shatter wasn't gone to waste. I do love it when they just stagger Shrimp Man like that. Didn't even let the Baby Diva jump off.
Yeah, one thing that's kind of worrying for Cincinnati is they haven't really been able to build up to some of their DPS ultimates. Their DPS have kind of struggled to get into the team fight. That's why you see them on quite low ult charge compared to the rest of the roster. However, they do have it at Matrix, and that's something that UTI don't have right now, so they could use that as an engagement tool.
Yeah, big flex going to come through. A lot of damage initially being put down from the punch of Dez, but now we got a chance to see him if they can turn it around. Wall's going to come down early. Salty Nacho just getting ping-ponged all over the map, and the disruption coming out from Arlington is too much and too overwhelming in a small room like that. They are going to have to reconsider which way they go.
I'm a big fan of Dez as a player. I'm a really, really big fan. I think one of the best flex DPS that we have. in EGFC, and I really like the start of that team fight. They go in, cause a bunch of chaos, force the lamp out, and then it's go time for UTA. And I think that is something that they rely on a lot. They really do rely on Dez's Doomfist.
Oh, and there it is again. Dez's Doomfist finds first pick with the help of the team, and this is getting down to crunch time. They're going to need to find a way to turn this around as Cincinnati is scrambling just to get the picks that they need. Archimedes comes up with a big one there on the main tank. But now Dez going down as well. Cincinnati, this is the door that has been opened for them. They just have to walk through it as it is low members for Arlington on the point. Imo going to come down, not enough to save Tiki, and that's going to be Cincinnati maybe turning this around. The wall's going to be committed. Arlington thinks they can turn this around. Shatter is only thing that's left available, and no, Cincinnati does get the flip as Archimedes is looking to trade it out, but Julian, with the help of that fire strike, going to take it down. In the end, though, Arlington does just have to back off.
That was good. That was good from Cincinnati. They got everyone into the team fight, got some okay off angles, and you know, at the end of that team fight, they ended up getting a nice stagger kill onto the Symmetra as well. Good execution onto that player as well. Good. That was good fight from Cincinnati. Let's see what they can do in this one. They're going to have UTA trying to walk onto Cincinnati. I imagine they're going to try and walk onto the Cassidy, knowing that Kurohi will probably have the Deadeye. That means that Lightning's going to have an optimal sound barrier here in this team fight. So watch Lightning.
Yeah, and just like last fight, Cincinnati needed to clutch up this fight, but the Shatter coming down with the beat. The Flux has already been used.
Oh, that's so unfortunate.
But a very nice pin onto Salty Nacho, as it is the rest of the team coming through with the barrier is going to be enough to guarantee this fight win, as UD Arlington just finds a way to clutch it up and take the point control back. We'll have to see if the overtime it is pointed out, but it's just going to be a bunch of staggers coming through now. Salty Nacho next up in line to touch. And now who else can be here? Doesn't look like anyone else is going to make it. And Arlington, I've not had the pleasure of casting or even watching some of these games, only on the official EGF channel. But I tell you what, Arlington looking damn strong, like you said in the beginning.
I think personally they're not currently in the top 5. I think last week, UTA, I think actually let's not beat around the bush. Let's talk about last week for a bit. I thought UTA were really bad last week, University of Texas Arlington, and that's not what I expect from them, because I think UTA personally is a top 3, top 4 team. Right. I think they could go and beat Maris, they could go beat William Mary. They've played pretty well against Colorado this year as well, right? I think they're a top 4 team. They didn't play like it last week. I thought last week against Tennessee was a really bad week for Arlington. But, they've come out strong here against Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati also had a pretty okay game. They're not expected to win this series, Cincinnati, but what they are expected to do are give it a good go, win some team fights and work on their execution, which has been okay. I mean, they've worked a lot on getting players into the team fight and getting involved. So I guess that's what we're going to have to see from Cincinnati today.
Yeah, and for Cincinnati out there, fans, you definitely got to love what you've seen so far from the team. They're obviously going to take this Symmetra strategy straight to the point, and they do want to fight there, and it is going to be tough for Soap and Tiki to find any angles, especially with how tight they're playing on that point, but now we get to see Arlington aggressing, and now the turrets are going to be destroyed. Nice flip, though, for Cincinnati getting that first point control, and this is what you want to see from the Symmetra comps. Just take it slow, nice and steady, but here we go. The Farah barrages from the top, going to be taking a toll onto Cincinnati, as it is just going to be a slow but sure fight for Arlington.
Yeah, that team fight was actually quite good from both teams as well, and strangely positive for myself here, but it was genuinely because Cincinnati, they kind of understood, that we have a little bit of a brawl advantage, so we're going to play around the objective and try and force a team fight there. But UTA, they were too smart for that. What they were building up towards was that nano boost. You saw the Soap would kind of feed on purpose to build up that nano boost, and then that was the go button for UTA. That's when Julian took a better angle. Now the next team fight, I want to highlight this EMP that Dez looks to be setting up and how the engagement comes through. Probably a barrage.
Beautiful EMP connects on all 6 members, and Julian's going to clean it up with the barrage.
Plus
the rockets
six.
over top. And
6.
there you go.
It's not.
Oh,
Tiki!
It's only 5. Tiki ended up taking the last
come
kill.
On.
That is actually tragic and a good call out from the EMP.
Yeah, I told you, Barrage skin coming after that EMP. Good fire tech here from Julian. This is how you get higher on fire. You just shoot yourself mid-air. It means that you can kind of prolong your rocket boosters and then move around. Interesting to see what they go for here as well. They're just trying to make it more difficult for Cincinnati to hit them. I mean, it might not make a difference because Archimedes could just use that Deadeye to try and stuff out the Farah.
Yeah, Archimedes popping. The Deadeye does end up finding Soap, so, main take down for Arlington. Going to open the door. Diva Bomb is going to be required to be used in order to get that mech back. Does force out the shield, and a little bit of aggression coming through for Cincinnati as they aren't having any of it, and a beautiful use of ultimates and taking advantage of Julian while up in that sky. You know, having down 2 members makes Cincinnati a little bit scarier when they get on that point.
Yeah, I really like Julian on the Pharah. I thought that sorry, I do think that Julian is one of the better Pharahs as well. And look, Dez is already at the EMP as well. And this is something that UTI do on control. Garden. And I really like this composition. I think it suits them. I would like to see something similar to this on a couple other maps where they use Julian's Pharah and Dez's Sombra together.
Yeah, and honestly, a nice subtle play there. Rockets coming through, and the Sombra trying to carry it out. Rocket Barrage is going to be shut down right away. Good damage being put down, but it's not going to be enough as Cincinnati is still holding strong, and now being down that Pharah, a lot of pressure from the backside is going to fall onto Dez's shoulders. Tiki going to get demeched. The window being used aggressively from Cincinnati. It's an all-out brawl, but it is Cincinnati looking like they're going to take control and keep control of the point still.
Here we go into the next team fight. UT have a lot of ultimates to work with. The Nano Boost in particular is going to be really important, as well as the EMP. EMP, of course, the best ultimates in the game. But I think the Nano Winston is going to be a really important engagement tool to get the rest of the gamers into a team fight, and then we can think about an EMP execute.
High Noon going to be blocked out by the bubble, but it is eventually going to end up getting the DMAC as Visor is going to come to great effectiveness as it finds 3 and eventually shut down by Julian. But now it is a 3v3 onto the point, and Julian going to make it tough for Reinhardt to stay on this point, especially with the hack coming through onto the Diva. No one able to sit there and hold these rockets.
Whoa, shielded!
Gets shielded out from Salty Nacho, and now Dez desperately trying to get this DMAC for the rest of the team to come through and clean up this fight, and it does look like they are going to be able eventually to swap this over. As I say that, Lucio's here. They got to get this kill for that beat. Very nice, and they are eventually going to get the swap over. Oh, scary fight for UTA.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati were very unlucky that UTI had all of the win conditions in their composition online. Cincinnati actually played that really well. There was a really good and well-executed engagement from Kurohi onto the backline when the EMP happened. I think they avoided the EMP and just attack visored the backline. Really good approach, and that made it quite difficult for UTI, but they got across the line.
Ooh, they ended up sleeping Salty Nacho, but someone woke it up and able to block that bomb. Might have found a lot, but Salty Nacho going to be putting down the shatter, not finding
another
anybody.
EMP from Dez?
EMP finds every single person, but everybody was not there to follow up from UTA, so a bit of an unfortunate circumstance as Julian still just trying to stall out and Pepper from the back, eventually going to go down, and that's the flip. Now it's going to be on Dez, Tiki, and maybe even Soap to touch this point, and as they do, the DMAC's going to come through, High Noon's going to pop up, Soap finds Archimedes, unfortunately. Dez gets a nice pick there. So now there's a door open, especially with Ball being able to stall out for as long as they are, and trades coming through back and forth. Super Juice taking down Leapfrag, that's huge. Baptiste going down in the middle of this fight is so crucial. Diva Bomb not going to find anyone, and somehow UTA is finding the picks they need to bring this fight back. EMP is almost back online as well, so you've got all of the pressure being put upon Cincinnati as UTA finds a way to get the beat off, get the EMP, and now it's just going to be Cincinnati on the back foot trying to come in and take control of this team fight. And it's just a lowly Ball sitting here to try to defend this with Lucio. EMP is going to be invested, and that's going to be Cincinnati swapping control at 95%, and it's going to be a scramble for them to get back.
All right, 4% and counting. Can we get a player there? Kurohi definitely can't get there. And that means that UTI will take map 1 of Lijiang Tower. But to be fair, Cincinnati put up a very good fight, and I thought realistically, with the better team on Lijiang Garden, of course the better team doesn't always win the Overwatch map, but you know, Cincinnati made grave improvements to what we've seen earlier in the series, or it's not even the series, the season, and I kind of want to talk about that in a little bit more depth in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati came through in a big way here, you know, putting UTA on the back foot for a lot of that second round. End up UTA taking the first map. But honestly, I was not expecting Cincinnati to show such great improvements, you know, in the course of 2 weeks. Last week they got the win, and now they're coming in fresh off that win and maybe carrying some of that momentum into this game.
I mean, Cincinnati was always a team we kind of looked at. I was like, you know, they have potential. They're playing a really cool rush comp. They're not really playing it in the correct positions, but, you know, the base concept of we're playing rush, let's go on to a target, and preferably the backline target. You know, they had that down. that was really good from them on Garden in particular. I was quite impressed because
Mhm.
especially that first team fight, they didn't get carried away, they didn't get bored, they made sure they tried to suck in their opponents onto the objective so they could brawl them. Unfortunately, UTA played really well in that team fight as well and just built up to their win conditions. They had a really good entry Deadeye. But that team fight where Kurohi went for the backline with the with their own tac visor to counter the EMP was a really good team fight plan, really well executed. Unfortunately, you're just playing against an EMP and an Nano Boost to Winston, which are the two main win conditions in that competition for UTA. But really good improvements from Cincinnati. I said, earlier in the season, when I was talking about Cincinnati, next season they are going to be a team to watch, in my personal opinion. UTA had a rough week last week. This is a good, solid week from them to bounce back so far, but I would like to see a little bit more from them later on in this series.
Yeah, and then going to Hollywood here, coming up next, UTA's got to be clutching their pearls a little bit. Maybe that aggression coming out from Cincinnati and just the confidence level coming out from them. They probably weren't quite expecting it to be that tough, but in the end, they did end up winning the map. In a convincing fashion. Coming back, clutching up when they needed to, and I think that's what a lot of these top teams have. They have that mechanical clutch factor, where when it comes down to a fight that you absolutely need to win, no matter what the circumstances, you find a way to do it. You find a way to dodge out the ults or use the ults in a prime way. And we saw Julian and Dez doing that quite well. But even the tank lineup did a fantastic job from UTA. But coming to Hollywood, we get another chance for Cincinnati. I would expect to see a lot of the same and even maybe a bit more aggression, honestly.
Yeah, I want to see more from UTA in particular, though. I want to really highlight that because last week really wasn't good, right? And
Right.
UTA is a team I really think highly of top four. And Cincinnati played really well, but I kind of go into this series and I expect UTA to win. I expect
Mhm.
UTA to get back into form. That first map, actually, in fairness, Cincinnati played really, really well and probably deserved to get a point. They probably deserved to take us to a third control point on Lijiang. But
Mhm.
I go into this and I expect and I want UTA to show us the team that they can be, right? Because we know that UTA can be a top four team, probably is a top four team in EGF, but right now they're sitting, what, seventh, eighth in the standings because they had a really poor game last week. And I don't want that to be the defining moment of their season. I want this to be the defining moment where, okay, yeah, they struggled map one against Cincinnati, but they were having a good map, right? Cincinnati's improving. That's okay. Maybe UTA misjudged. This is the moment where UTA get back to being a top four team and really push on this season.
Yeah, this is one of those times where UTA really needs to take a firm grasp of their positioning, and especially where we think they're going to be. And to your point, you think they're top four, and oh my goodness, Soap finds a nice fire strike there. The res is going to come through, but it doesn't stop the aggression coming down onto Archimedes. Lone man left out there, and now Cincinnati has to pull it through with being down one member and the res already used. Going to have to put a lot of pressure onto the Ash to find a pick, but it's just going to be Arlington cleaning up the fight. And there you go. Main tank goes down. Pressure comes in on the DPS, and bing, bang, boom. You got the first point.
Ooh, I'm not exactly sure how Salty Nacho went down like that at all. Like, realistically, you should have all your cooldowns online and you shouldn't be bursted down that when your entire team there. How did you get burst down by that much from range? GTA does not have that much spam damage.
Yeah, I mean, they must have all came through right at the same time. You got the right click from Dez. Julian hit a headshot, and then the fire strike lands. It must have been something like that, shield going down as well. But Archimedes going to do the best to find a little bit of backline access as the damage comes through. Going to be taken down by Super Juice. Too much span. We're going to see Kuro come around the back. I'm sorry, Kuro. Yeah, Kuro come around the back. But in the end, the teams already kind of went down. So going to have to be looking for a different angle.
Oh, this is an interesting moment here. A little stagger. Look at the composition that UTA are running, right? It's a standard brawl composition. I don't like the Symmetra with the Cassidy. I feel like those two are kind of like. Oh, sorry, no, I do like the Symmetra with the Cassidy as well. I just kind of a different idea because I like the Symmetra on this map for the high ground. Usually I don't in a brawl competition. The reason I don't is because they both kind of do the same thing. They kind of zone, right? They kind of are good at zoning players, not disrupting but zoning. And I feel like you could have a May instead to do a little bit more disruption in the brawl comp, but you're getting to the high ground, and I guess that's wherever you train.
Yeah, and such a snap call for Arlington to just decide, you know what, we're going to go on the tanks. The tanks are alone. We're okay with just dropping all of the cooldowns onto them. And And yeah, it worked out quite well for him as both tanks fall relatively quickly. Dez did end up going down by Kuro in the backline, I believe, but going to be swapping over to the Hanzo. Bit of a late spawn. Must know that this Tracer is above, and yeah, they are covering his back to get him back into the front. Ooh, he finds it. Nice. Yeah, Shatter could have come through as well. I think they just did it for Lightning, a nice solo Shatter just to get a cleanup kill and get a nice cart progression.
This could be interesting to see how Cincinnati look to kind of surround the Arlington competition. Ball comps and Zen competitions are typically quite good against Reinhardt competitions. That's how Winston comes. You can kind of surround and conquer, right? Reinhardt does not want to be swinging at a Trace or a Wrecking Ball, for example. That's what Reinhardt's good at. Reinhardt's good in linear and direct team fights and has a very direct approach. But the Tracer going down, it's one less distraction tool, and only really the Wrecking Ball as a strong engagement tool for Cincinnati, and that's gone as well.
Yeah, that's gone, and now Julian finds Salty Nacho. Now it's a little bit of scramble time for Cincinnati. Going to be committing the trance just to keep Stripman alive. Archimedes on the left side, going to go down with the combined efforts of Tiki and Dez. Nice Deadeye also from Julian. Going to find another couple picks. It is just one right after the other. Only the ball left on top of the point. Not going to be enough, even with the mines, I would imagine, as they'll clear him off and go ahead and cap this. Tracer not in time. That is what I think you were talking about from UT Arlington, the snap decision-making and multiple members going on the same target and just taking them out instantly.
Yeah, I thought UTA were really good that map. I really did. I really did like that from UTA. I want to see them put in more of these dominating performances because I think they need them, right? You know, I think they do need them. I think they maybe lost a bit of confidence, right? But they're a good team, right? They're one of the only teams that has brought Colorado even close to a potential defeat this season. I've watched two really good series between Colorado and UTA, and I mean they might be one of the only teams that can beat them. And I want to see a good UTA the rest of the season. Cincinnati, I think they made a couple of major mistakes that round, especially at the start, losing their Arisa. And point B as well, that I should say point C, where they lost their Trace and they lost the Wrecking Ball without really getting any engagement off. And I think the rest of the map was kind of a snowball from those two major mistakes. And a couple of others, right? I mean, it definitely was not a good round from Cincinnati. 4 minutes 34 in the timeline from UTA. But I feel like some of those major mistakes kind of just led to snowballs, and that's why Cincinnati were never really in that round as well. But all credits to UTA with that round.
Yeah, now we're seeing UTA take a bit of a page out of Cincinnati's book. A nice composition that people like to run with the Sigma and the Orisa. Nice double shield. But Cincinnati going to be running the Reaper. And yep, going to be running the Reaper. So I quite like this adjustment. Getting nice upfront damage. Going to be a little bit tough going into Dez's Torbjorn, but we'll see exactly how that pays off for him as they approach the first choke and the first fight. Going to be a bit of poke coming out from Arlington, and already that poke is paying dividends as Leapfrag is going to go down. And Cincinnati, without that BAP, going to be a little bit tough for them to push in. Might just have to wait for him.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see how they approach the spam competition, this double shield competition. Are they just going to try and get underneath UTA and make it a little bit more awkward for them? Or are they going to try and go up these stairs? Or are they going to try and force a brawl on the point? Looks like it's going to be that final option. Go to point and try and force a brawl there. Or where are you going?
I like that wrap around, and actually, they're going to go all the way around, and I think they're going to try to do what you said, is go up top here and take control, and there it is. They get right up top, and but they don't have necessarily that poke comp.
They don't have the Reaper either. They don't really have anything that can spam. They can get underneath UTA around the point. Okay, that's what they're doing right now. They're going to try and force a brawl on the objective, but they've already lost their Reaper.
Yeah, this was a bit staggered as they even started. The armor's going to end up saving Torbjorn's life, but the fan is end up going to pick up the kill. It's not going to matter, mostly. But to your point, I think they just took the longer route to do it. And losing multiple members on the way in is definitely why that, I think, wasn't as successful as they would have liked.
I mean, it was a good plan. It just didn't happen immediately, right? They just want to get under them and try and force a brawl, right? You at least see that. But the holds were good. The execution was good from Arlington. Now Archimedes on the soldier. I guess if you get stuck in a situation again where you're outside of a brawl, I guess you have a little bit more spam potential. Here we go. Force them off the high ground. Now, where are we go? Oh, no. We're going to hell. We're dead.
Yeah, and Leapfrag going down first, but really not anyone in particular's fault as the shield's health dropped so drastically fast. Stripman, defense matrix not enough to keep anyone alive. And there it is, the window dropped and multiple kills coming through from it. The poke and the spam coming through from Arlington is just a ton for them to deal with.
Yeah, you know what? I thought that team fight had a next engagement where they were just going to go on to the point, but no. Arlington already rotated to the other high ground, and when that matrix was done, that team fight was gone. It was really cool rotation
Absolutely.
from Arlington.
And I like Arlington not rotating this time. They do just kind of want to take the fight since they had Molten Core. They can split off a ton of members. And there
What
it
is the
is.
Hulk Molten Core?
Dez's Molten Core plus the Hulk. And
Oh no, late frag.
Lead Frag knows it's over, and the staggers are going to come through. Man, I love when Arlington knows they have the advantage in the fight. They don't run, they just take it.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the difference between Cincinnati and Arlington. At the current stage, I think Cincinnati has immense potential, and they can learn some of these things. Like they've learned some different executes, right? They've learned different things about the video game in the past 3 weeks or so, right? Which is really impressive for them. UT, I know when they have an advantage in the team fight, I think that's the perfect way to call it. Here comes the supercharger.
Yeah, Supercharger, and they might even look to take this fight again, no matter what aggression comes their way. But as of right now, it looks like Cincinnati will be waiting out the Supercharger, but this fight is going to be crucial as we are ticking down close to 30 seconds. Archimedes on the Sombra scouting it out for the team so they can finally choose their target. And there it is. They are going to eventually choose their target. And the beat's coming out awful early, but that means that Tiki can find the first pick with the Flux. And now Kuro doing a great job of finding some picks on the side as well. But the Transcendence is going to be a bit of a...
Oh, nice boop!
Nice boop! I was just about to say not going to find anything, but the boop up does end up winning it out. And now we've got shotguns for both sides just trying to spam it out. I'm not quite sure who is eventually going to end up taking this, but it does look like Cincinnati backs off for just a second to get healed up, and Kuro finds Super Juice. Nice amount of healing down, but Molten Core is online, and that could be the point decider for Arlington, as it is just so much damage on the point. Monkey's got to stand there and just accept his fate, as Arlington does a great job on the full hold first point.
Yeah, I thought UTA played really well. That map, University of Texas, Arlington, Cincinnati. I would have liked to see them swap some heroes up. I did like some of their ideas, which is okay. It was an okay map for them, but I would have liked to see some swaps because I think it was quite clear to see that they were really struggling to get in the faces of University of Texas Arlington with their brawl composition, right? So they were kind of just getting done over by the spam. And when they did get a chance to brawl, they were dealing with Molten Core, they were dealing with Supercharger, really important critical ultimates that could just win a team fight. For UTA. So I think they got stuck in a compositional mismatch there and they weren't able to quite identify that. I would have liked to see a Winston or a standard dive composition. I think that would have been a really good answer to the double shield.
Yeah, I think the double shield is super hard to get through. I think everybody from their solo queue games and any collegiate fans out there watching, you kind of know what that feels like, especially when, you know, the double shields know exactly what they're doing and the team around them know exactly how they want to play. We saw the rotations coming through, right? When they didn't have the advantage, they didn't have the ultimates, they aggress back. Right? And when the aggression comes on them, they run away. When they have the advantage, they stand their ground and take the fight. And to your point about them being top four, I think that is exactly what we expect from a top four team. Is they just know exactly when they're strong and when they're not and where they need to be at any given moment. And for Cincinnati, they're still trying to figure that part out of the game. But to your point about the executes from them, I love their ideas. Their ideas were solid. It's just the picks in the transition to get to the execution phase of their plan, just not quite there, and Arlington punishing them in every step they tried to take.
Yeah, I would have liked them to be able to change things up. And I don't want to see Cincinnati get scared to change things up either. That's something I think that we haven't really seen them do much in the past is swap their composition, and that's something that they might need to develop over the course of the rest of this season. Maybe look towards next season.
Yeah, and for UT fans and Cincinnati fans, don't you guys worry. We are going to be taking a bit of a break, but on the flip side, we will get to see either the conclusion or maybe the start of something special on the other side. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to the EGF Season 3, brought to you by Intel. We are back for the third game of this set. UT Arlington and Cincinnati going to be going to Hanamura next. Hanamura is one of those maps that can be very snowbally, very interesting to see which team's going to come out with it. I think we both expect Arlington to, but Cincinnati's showing some pretty good signs of life in this one.
Hanamura is a map where a team that is behind in a deficit gap of skill level or knowledge level can bridge that gap because it is kind of one-dimensional, especially in the collegiate level, where you probably are going to see like a smash teleporter strategy, or you're going to see something a little bit spammy, right? That's kind of the two things that you're going to see on Hanamura. There are the odd series where you sometimes randomly see a double bubble or a brawl mirror matchup, but those don't come around very often. I do like those sort of Hanamura maps, but this is a map where Cincinnati can bridge the gap, maybe get a draw, maybe get a win. If they play like they did on map one, sure, yeah, I was really impressed with that map one performance by Cincinnati. But with how Arlington played in map two, I'm expecting them just to keep that train rolling.
Yeah, and as we talked about in the break a little bit here, we were discussing exactly the setups from Cincinnati, the execution, and most of the stuff that we talked about in map 1 to map 2. But coming into map 3, right, Hanamura is a different level, right? It's either you run that Symmetra strat where you kind of TP into an area where you can realistically get a safe engage off, or you do it a more traditional way with like Ball, Reinhardt, something like that, where you can break through and then set something up. For Cincinnati, that is going to be one of the biggest challenges for them, I think, in this one. If they are going to run something other than Symmetra strat, we're going to get to see them try to execute on some of the setups that they've been trying to pull off.
Yeah, I would like to see them try something a little bit different, but not in terms of winning this series. I would just like to see it just out of curiosity. If you kind of know what I mean. If they want to go and win this series, I would like to see them play Smash Teleporter just onto the point and try and force a brawl. Something that they will be used to, something they've done before, something that UTA will be prepared for, but always the chance that you mess up your rotation back to point, for example, or you mess up your initial engagement on the teleporter, depending on how you like to deal with it on that defense. But I would like to see that, especially in the offense, from the side of Cincinnati.
Yeah, and Cincinnati going up against Arlington here with a pretty standard comp as far as the Riss and the Sig. I like the way they're going to spread out the map, but that does leave room for Cincinnati, and correct me if I'm wrong here, for them to maybe aggress on top of a maybe sitting by himself Sigma on the cross angle, in order to like teleport right on top of somebody to, get a 1v4, 1v5 going.
Well, it depends how good Tiki's positioning is, right?
Yeah.
If they're on an off angle, but they're also in the sightline of their supports, right? Look how much damage is in the back line of UTA, right? It's probably like Hanzo plus Zenyatta plus Baptiste. You're not getting onto that segment if they're in that sightline. Anyways, it is going to be a quick symmetric teleporter to the point. They are on the point. However, they lost leapfrog.
And UTA was very ready for that as Dez is in a position to take leapfrog out. It's destined to be a tough one for Cincinnati to even find any level of success just because of how spread out UTA was. You get onto point, but then you have 3 different angles you've got to look out for, and I tell you what, they didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati, they lost the worst player possible to lose. And I think once you see those 3 different angles that UTA are taking, you still have to try and force the brawl on the point. That's the whole idea of this match teleporter strategy anyway, to try and force that brawl with that Reinhardt and your extra brawly heroes. But then they could have hid around maybe there's that Bell, I guess it is. It's a Bell on the point, and they could have forced a brawl in that way. However, they lost their Baptiste. That fight was really done before anything went on. Not sure what they just tried to do there. It was a teleporter onto the high ground, and I'm not sure why we went for that, to be honest.
It's what I talked about earlier, Ocean, when I was like, when you see that Sigma standing there and you think he's by himself, and to your point, they didn't see the other teammate standing right behind him. So it wasn't a 1v4 or a 1v5. It was actually a 2v5, but again, these spread out angles, you have nowhere safe to stand, and it's so tough for them to even push through this choke or find a safe place for these supports to, get into a good position. But now they got to figure it out because they're back to these doors. They've had 2 really good tries, and they are just going to teleport right up top again. This time they're going to go behind and force him out. That was a very good job. But Julian going to be popping the visor, putting down some good damage. Got the picks that were necessary as Lucio goes down, and now it's Super Juice and the rest of the squad cleaning it up. UTA is doing a great job with this spread but collapse style.
Yeah, so Cincinnati were always going to have a difficult time with that team fight, even if they pulled off the best execution onto the point anywhere and actually forced a good brawl. The problem with that is that you had all their ultimates, really, from the past 2 team fights that Cincinnati weren't able to quite get into. But Cincinnati are probably going to have 6 ultimates in this team fight if they can get onto the point and force that brawl.
Yeah, 6 ultimates is going to have to be the name of the game, I think, for Cincinnati, especially with Leapfrog going down one more time. Tried to get the ammo down to save his own life, but Lucio and company is going to end up falling here as everybody is just getting scattered to the 4 wins by UTA. It is going to be up to these ults, Ocean, in order for them to break this, I think.
Well, I guess they got the supercharger right. They got the gravitic flux right. Dez has got a dragon strike and Colby's got a transcendence, but 6 ultimates versus 2, realistically, Cincinnati, you probably expect to win this team fight.
Yeah, Cincinnati got to be feeling confident coming in with, especially with the alt bank that they have put up, but they are going to take a bit of a different approach now. Bringing the entire squad up to the high ground, going to be looking for a different bit of a play. They do still have the advantage here, but now the Dragon's going to come through. No one's going to get caught by that. Really nice disengage, just jumping back. Does burn the ice block, though, so utility down for the Mei. Wall going to be committed right onto the center of point, so they do want to get right on top of the point and use all of these ultimates at once. Blizzard just going to be zoning for now, not going to be finding a ton of value as far as kill potential, and the utility is going to be pumped out, and here comes the Transcendence to match the beat. Bomb gonna come down. Gonna find 3. UTA is scrambling now. They have to find picks in order to turn this around, and they're not gonna be able to do it as Cincinnati finds a way to break the chokehold that was Hanamura .1.
You know what? I'm happy enough with that team fight. Yeah, they had to use everything, but they had everything to use, Cincinnati, right? They had a massive ultimate advantage. They used it to win the team fight, right? Yeah, okay. The first two team fights, realistically, not great engagement. And the second team fight in particular onto the high ground, I'm not exactly sure the decision making behind that. But that team fight there, a team fight they needed to win if they wanted to continue on Hanamura, and a team fight they had an advantage in was good. It was good team fight from Cincinnati. That.
Yeah, and this is what UTA has been doing constantly throughout the series, is finding the initial picks, really putting Cincinnati at a disadvantage, and now the ults are going to be committed, and the amp window going to be right in the face of Cincinnati, and it's going to be a bit of a cleanup. I do love the aggression from Lightning, but not going to be enough. And yeah, I mean, that's just what Arlington does. They see an advantage and they push it, and that's just what you have to overcome if you're Cincinnati.
Here we go. 2 minutes left on the clock. UTA will want to hold this to probably not even a take, right? They want to get this series over and done with, because Cincinnati could grow into this series, especially with a pick like that. It's go time for Cincinnati, and they're close to the photon barrier as well.
Going to be pushing in, but Arlington is going to answer with ults. Being down one member, going to have to try to turn this fight around with some of the ability usages. The Dragon's going to come through and find a devastating result, as it is main tank and main support going down. And there you go. Arlington turns the fight around, even though they lost one early on.
I mean, that's a good team fight, though, right? For Cincinnati, right? You trade what? Your Amp Matrix for a Dragon Strike, a Supercharger, and a Gorilla Flux, and you take that every single day of the week. 1 minute. Probably left as soon as you get this team fight going here. So probably maybe 1.5 team fights left. Or good attempts at getting point B. Let's see what the team fight plan is here for Cincinnati. Looks like a teleporter probably to the point. No! Kurohi goes down!
That's not what you want to hear if you're the Symmetra. Ding, 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 ding. That's how you know you're just going to go down. And without that Symmetra, a lot of the mobility is down for Cincinnati, and they do need to back off and wait for the Symmetra to come back. And that's going to put them in potential one-fight territory. Ocean, this is getting pretty spooky.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the ultimates to go and win this team fight, Cincinnati, but, you know, there's going to be a respawn advantage here. This is going to be a long team fight as well, if they even get to the objective prepaid. So it's going to be quite difficult. And you have to question how Kurohi went down when they knew they needed that Symmetra to even start this team fight. That's a good start, though. This is going to be a hard engagement for UTA to get even involved in.
Nice cover provided from the wall. Orisa going to step up. All the ults are going to start being dumped into on the point, but the high ground advantage is Arlington's. So the longer this fight goes, the harder it's going to be for for Cincinnati to hold down the fort. Shatter's going to come down, so Salty Nacho finding the picks. Ticks are coming through, but stopped about halfway through the second one. And now, as I said, the longer it goes, the more it is for UTA. And there it is. They hold it off, and it's going to be on Lightning to find a quick overtime touch, so that way the ball can come through. Ball's gonna have to come through really quickly. Gets the overtime tick, but is gonna fall just as fast, and I'm not sure there's anyone left to touch it for Cincinnati. Oh, just the Tracer. But now the rest of the squad has to come through. Moira the next one to come in, and it's just trickle, but UTA is gonna end up taking the map right there.
Yeah, they're gonna have a pretty good defense there, UTA. Cincinnati, the start of that last team fight was good. You know, we got a good solid execute onto the teleporter, onto the point. Nice photon barrier to kind of zone UTA away. But then you actually want UTA to walk on to you as well. So you want to make sure you take that space and make that yours. So it's kind of like a fort, as you were saying. But then UTA just kind of were like, okay, we're not going to enter your fort. We're just going to throw cannonballs from this vigorous mountain called the high ground. And that's what they did. They took both high grounds, right? And they threw cannonballs at the point. They had one player contesting at a time. And Cincinnati weren't able to get on to each individual player because they lost their Lucio early on. As to how Lightning went on, I didn't really get a good chance to see it. But not having that Lucio speed boost to get on the individual targets that are trickling onto point meant that UTA could kind of just send one player to point. They weren't really going to be at a risk for too long. And then all they had to do was spam from the two different high grounds. And then eventually Cincinnati's attack was always going to peter out.
Yeah, UTA had a really good understanding of what their comp wanted to do, right? They just stayed on that high ground. You didn't see the DPS unless they had to, never had to commit to that point. Meant they had free shots, like shooting fish in the barrel, if you will, just all day up there, no pressure. And the tanks, all they had to do was keep slightly touching because, like we said, the longer the fight went, the easier it was going to be for UTA. But now we get to see them on attack. We're going to see Dez on the Symmetra, going to be dropping that bow, and Julian on the Doomfist. So it's going to be a very fast, aggressive push from Arlington. Cincinnati's going to need to be able to recognize this early and try to deal with it. They now see the teleporter coming through. A few members get through. One is left
Oh,
behind.
that's unlucky.
Does take down Leapfrag, but Lightning returns the favor onto Colby. So they were ready for the teleport, but 2Tick's already given up. Now is going to come that slow touch. May is the first one on, and Cincinnati's doing a really nice job of keeping it nice and slow. But with the main tank down, it's going to be tough for anybody to safely touch this point, especially with Symmetra turrets and the amount of aggression coming through from UTA. It is just going to be so hard to try to continue to contest. Nice boop! But unfortunately, the point is going to get ticked over in the meantime. But yeah, I love Lightning's aggression.
I like how Des looked up at the ledge like that was going to help. It's just an interesting thought process. Anyways, going into point B, this could be a fascinating snowball if UTA are able to use their ant matrix to claim a bit of space here. But Cincinnati look in a good position. They look controlled, right? They look like they're ready to deal with whatever UTA throws at them. But they need to stop UTA from getting this teleporter up, and they have. That's good. That's a really good start to the team fight for Cincinnati.
Teleporter going down is going to stop a lot of the mobility and that high ground potential here. And a charge put down right on Saucy Nacho. Oh my goodness, Arlington is not giving them any space. Dez gets the wall off before he goes down. But the Doom and the Cassidy having a bit of a duel in the bottom. But it's not going to end up resulting in anything for Cincinnati, as it's just non-stop ults coming through from Arlington. They built them up so fast. Hammer, Shatter's not going to fight anything. The stuns come through. It is a scramble for Cincinnati to continue to fight onto this point.
Oh, no.
Nice crush kill. Archimedes gets to feel the weight of that mech. And that is going to be just a nice bit of staggering coming through. They do have to finish this off fairly quickly, and they end up doing it. I was going to say, it's going to start getting scary if Cincinnati starts getting back on this point. But, oh, there's UTA, just, that top 4 team, like you said, pulling it through.
Yeah, UTA, really good professional performance on Hanamura. It did get awkward for a couple of team points. I think that's safe to be said, but it kind of does on Hanamura. If you're playing against a team who's looking to challenge you, then yeah, you're gonna have a couple awkward team fights on Hanamura. It's just going to happen. UTA, good professional performance today. I think they did struggle in map 1, but I also think the Cincinnati had a really good map 1 as well. But the rest of the series was good professional job. UTA, I think, are back to their best. Good job from them today.
Yeah, and I think with UTA, right, you always go into the first game of every series and you're trying to feel out your opponent. You're trying to, adjust to the level of maybe what you're going to be playing against. In Cincinnati, to our, eyes and all the fans, we saw Cincinnati come out and throw a bunch of haymakers. And just barely did they lose that second round. And then from then on, UTA finally understood exactly the level they had to perform at. And we started seeing the UTA of old, like we usually do. But, on the back end of this break, we are going to be having an interview with UTA, and we will get to see who we're going to be interviewing. I do believe it's Tiki, but we will find out, and so will you here in just a minute. And we welcome you back to the EGF Season 3, powered by Intel. We have Tiki here from the winning team, UTA. Obviously, Tiki, you got to be feeling great after that one.
Yes, definitely.
Good, good. I only have one thing I need to ask you, okay?
Mhm.
And it's your guys' mentality this season. You know, you've had a couple close games against Colorado, and then, you know, you've obviously been on a nice heater coming into this game. Last week was a bit rough, but getting back on the winning track. Tell me a bit about your team's mentality and your fortitude. You know,
What am I supposed to do?
Going up against some of the top level teams and some of these teams that are nipping at your guys' heels.
Well, at this point, I feel like we're starting to probably get doubted because of that game last week. So we're just trying to fight to make sure that we're considered the best because that's how we personally feel,
Nice.
and we want to prove it. And yeah, last week was rough, but it's a week by week basis. You just go to the next, get into scrim, you work hard, just get better.
No, I'll let Ocean take it from here because he's got a couple questions.
Yeah,
about
I
last
do
week.
want to ask about that game last week. You know, UTA have been probably a top 4 team this season. You've been able to challenge Colorado, who by record are on top right now, and you probably looked like the closest challengers to them when playing against them. So last week was very uncharacteristic. How have you looked to bounce back after that? Because that was a pretty good start today.
Yeah, we felt a little off last week. I'm not gonna lie. When it came to our comms and stuff, we had the winter storm stuff, so campus was closed,
Yeah.
so we didn't have access to this area here. I actually to actually play, I had to walk 20 minutes to a teammate's house to use their setup. Um,
Oh,
so I mean, it all felt a little off, and we we were kind of like upset that we lost that game, but we're back at it and we're ready
yeah.
to show that we actually are one of the best again.
And about your campus, we can see you there right now. Is that a big boost to have everyone around you and to be together with the team as well? I'm sure that helps when
Mhm.
you've just won a map and you get to feel the vibe as well.
Yeah, it definitely does. Especially when you can sit there and like the person next to you pops off and you can sit there. I know me and Soap over here, the entire time after every round, he would turn to me and we just like do like a handshake or something, just like let's
Oh
go like
yes,
that.
I love the
So
example.
it's
Brilliant.
it's always like a mental boost to do something like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
glad to hear.
Awesome.
And just based on that win today, what are the goals for the rest of the season? You know, I think that top 4 is definitely a good goal, and the rest, and maybe even higher, maybe challenge Colorado. What do you guys think?
I mean, our expectation of ourselves is to go all the way.
Okay,
Um,
I like it.
and that's, I mean, just to
It
win.
is what it
That's
is.
our expectation. That's how we feel.
And
I
that's how
love
I
it.
think
I love
every
it.
top team should feel, right? Like everyone should have that level of confidence if you're in the top 5. Thank you, Tiki. Do you have anybody you want to shout out while you're here?
Oh, yeah. I mean, shout out to my parents who are watching. Shout out to my teammates who are here, and then the two that decided not to come. And shout out to the people from my stream chat. They always come out and support me, and I love seeing them in chat when we like rewatch games or something. Always feels really good. And also shout out to Gigabyte for not getting me my GPU for 2 months that I sent into
Let's
them for an
go.
RMA, forcing me to play here every day. So that's always a fun one. So
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tiki, and thank you, UTA, for letting us have this interview. You have a good one, and I'm guaranteed we'll see you later on.
yes, I believe so.
Well, all right, Ocean. We had ourselves 2 really good games, 2 nice 3-0s, and UTA is having a bit of a win streak back on the bike there. And, I'm super happy we got to do this today. But unfortunately, me and Ocean are going to have to step away for the second set of games. We are going to be handing it off to Waltham and Twin Salty for a DePaul versus University of Montana matchup. Don't go anywhere for that one. But in the meantime, during this break, we do still have Ryder and RIT going against each other right now in a bit of a heater on the official EGF channel. Go check them out. And Sir Waltham and Twin Salty will be here for you on the back half of this break. See you guys.